Hey everyone, welcome to Princess Gay. I'm your host Connie, and today we are here with Pluto, episode 2. We are back with this series. We are finally continuing Pluto, and I couldn't be more excited for this. The first episode, which we did our first impressions to, just really impressed me. It was everything I kind of wanted it to be, and more. This series just I wasn't expecting it to be this good. Um, but at the same time, it kind of makes sense because it's both Osamu Tezuka and Naoki Urasawa that are behind this. Well, sort of. Because this series is based off of an Osamu Tezuka work. As I said in the first reaction, just as a reminder here, it is based off of The Greatest Robot on Earth, I believe is the name of it. It's an arc from the original Astro Boy series by Osamu Tezuka. Writer Naoki Urasawa, who was heavily inspired by Tezuka, took that arc and decided to make it into this entire, like, crime series, basically. This crime drama. And Naoki Urasawa has done one of these with Monster, which is a phenomenal series that I would definitely suggest checking out if you haven't seen. But he decided to take an arc that he grew up with, that inspired him, and transform it into something new, into something different and fresh. And I think that's kind of the epitome of creativity. Being able to do that is just impressive. And to do it this well. Now, I have a bit of a correction to make. In the first episode reaction, there's the old man, and he was telling the story of how when he was a kid, he had to get like life-saving surgery and everything. There was the doctor from Japan that came in to save his life and everything. And my thought was, could that be Kenzo Tenma from Naoki Urasawa's Monster? My thought on that was simply because this is a Naoki Urasawa series, but it didn't really like click in my head. It's like that probably wouldn't make as much sense if this is basically an adaptation of an Osamu Tezuka work. Like, it could be seen as an Easter egg and everything, but apparently that's not the case. I have since found out that it is, while it's not actually confirmed, it is more likely that the doctor from Japan is Blackjack. Now, I've never seen or read or anything Blackjack this as a series. I know there's like a couple different anime adaptations and everything. I've never seen them and all, but I do know the basic concept. Like, the character is basically an outlaw doctor. I don't know how or why, but I know that's kind of the concept. And I'm kind of curious as to if he's going to have any more of a role to play in this, or if that was just a one-time, like, little secret cameo thing. Because the thing is, it makes a lot more sense thinking about it now that is Osamu Tezuka's character Blackjack, just because, again, based off an Osamu Tezuka work, and on top of that, apparently Osamu Tezuka's characters have bled between their different works. Like, Blackjack has, I guess, appeared within, like, Astro Boy or something like that, and vice versa and stuff. It's like, I read something about that the works have like kind of blended together at points, And that's really interesting. Like I believe I said in the first episode reaction, I was never like this huge Astro Boy fan. Um, I was definitely more of a casual fan, and I've seen like the more recent animated movie, the 3D animated movie. And I know the character and everything. I know general stuff about it, but yeah, it's it's interesting to say the least. Because the funny thing is, I was like wondering if that was like Kenzo Tenma and everything originally. Not even remembering, and this is actually something I knew because again, I'd seen Astro Boy stuff before, but not even remembering that Dr. Tenma is also the name of Astro Boy's creator. And Kenzo Tenma from Monster was literally named after him. Although, like, Kenzo Tenma is a better person. But, yeah, it's really interesting that I thought of that, even though it's technically incorrect. I do wonder if, since this is an adaptation of Astro Boy in a way, I wonder if Dr. Tenma will appear in this. Um, I'm genuinely curious about that. Um, so in the first episode, we're introduced to Inspector Gesicht, a robotic detective who is put on this case to try and solve the mystery of these horned murder victims, both robot and human alike. They are seen with these mysterious horns, and it's unclear how they've been dying. There's this robot who's like this big popular figure who is killed, and then you see like this person who's like rooting for robot rights and so on and so forth, and all of them are left with that calling card. Gesicht has to try and figure out what's going on, and he's eventually led to a robot criminal who had killed people before, who puts him on the path of realizing what the horns symbolize. They're symbolic of mythology and the god Pluto, hence the name of the series. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how that kind of develops and we learn more. Um, the episode takes a big turn at the halfway point, but before we get into that stuff, the ending does go back to Gesicht, and we see that he is meeting up with Adam. And we know Adam is basically just Astro Boy. Like, that's very obvious. He's basically this version of Astro Boy. He's just being called Adam in this. Um, so yeah. Very interesting. Very interesting to see that come into play right off the bat. I'm definitely curious as to see like more context behind that in this episode. But talking about the big turn that the first episode took, halfway through it suddenly shifts to this old man, this music composer for movies. He's retired and just kind of living his life when a robot butler comes to him to try and make his life a little easier. Of course, he's a crotchety old man, so he's not exactly welcoming. But he finds out through some discussion that this robot butler used to be a soldier. And he starts pestering the butler. It's like, oh, how many of your kind have you killed and stuff? Like, are you just a murderer and things like that? It's like, The robot butler refuses to answer, but eventually reveals that he's killed a lot, and that's why he never wants to go back to that kind of thing. He never wants to return to the battlefield. While the old man sees him as like this weapon, this machine that can only be precise and not have any humanity, we see very quickly that that's not the case. And throughout the second half of the episode, the robot proves that he can be human and ends up winning over the old man. They become pretty damn close, which makes the fact that at the end, Pluto comes and kills the robot, leaving the old man alone again and grieving the loss of his friend. And it's like, Jesus, thanks for that. I like depression with my robot shows. I expect that kind of thing, though. With Naoki Urasawa, it's like that's very much in line with what I know from Monster and everything. A lot of tragedy in that series, a lot of intense tragedy. But yeah, so we are going to get on with Pluto and see what this series has in store for us. This is replacing One Piece for the time being. The plan is to finish this series by the time we bring back One Piece at the start of the year for the next arc. So we've got like 5-6 weeks to do this. We'll probably have to double up on a week or two. That'll be fine. We'll get this done because I'm excited for this. So yeah, Pluto, let's see what episode 2 has in store. When the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades black, then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episode. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. Wow. That is the best way to put this. Wow. Just an exclamation of pure amazement of just how impressed, how intensely like into this I am. Like, again, I said in the pre-thoughts, I'll say it again here. I'm not the biggest Astro Boy fan. It's like, it's very casual. I more respect and acknowledge Astro Boy for how it basically made anime what it is. Manga and anime. Without Astro Boy, manga wouldn't be where it is currently. Anime wouldn't be where it is currently. Osamu Tezuka I've heard a lot of people, and I myself refer to him as the grandfather of anime because of this reason. Because of how integral his works are to both mediums of manga and anime. Their growth, their entire legacy has been because of him. And to see one of his most notable works taken on in such a powerful, intense way by Naoki Urasawa is astoundingly amazing. It's wowing. It's brilliant. Like, the first episode was great. The first episode was absolutely great. But this episode elevated things to such a higher level, showcasing the tragedy, the emotion, the pain, the joy, the fear, everything of this series. Showcasing how, despite a lot of these characters not being human, it shows us how human they truly are. Between Adam and his childlike wonder and beauty, between Brando and his compassionate love for his family, and Hercules with his just care for others, the way he shows how much that means to him over anything else, despite not really understanding it and trying to claim he doesn't do as the humans do. We see all these characters. We see Inspector Gesicht. We see all of their perspectives. Again, the fear, the pain, the sorrow, just every emotion going through them in this episode. You see Adam figuring things out, looking at the 3D projected crime scene. You see the fear and desperation of Gesicht and Hercules as they're trying to get to Brando. Brando's rage and desire to avenge his friend when fighting Pluto, but also his love for his family and how deep it goes. There is a lot to be said in the argument of, can robots ever be made to a point where they are practically human? It's an argument that has been made for a long time, and an argument that goes around in circles. Some believe that robots can never truly be human because of them being machines rather than, flesh and blood. There are some who believe that that robots can become human. That what makes us human is not what we're made of, but our very hearts and souls that guide us. And if a machine can be made, if a robot can be made to such a degree to where they have conscious thought, to where they have a soul, a heart, then who's to say that they aren't human? You look at some of the humans throughout real life history, and sometimes you look at them and think that they're not human, that they've abandoned their humanity because of the horrible, evil things that they've done. we see them as no longer human because of the lack of what we believe makes us human. That heart and that soul. The propensity for good. Morals. Ethics. So, if a robot is made to have full autonomy, to be able to have free will and make its own decisions and be designed in a way to where it can follow morals and ethics and beliefs and ideals, and why is that not human? Because they're made of machinery? But if all it takes to be human is flesh and blood, why do we revoke that right for people just based on morals? Again, it's a question that's gone around in circles forever. People argue the hell out of it, and they probably always will. Even when and if eventually this kind of stuff does actually occur, if we ever get to the point where we are able to make robots to this advanced of a degree, we will definitely still be arguing over this. And even if things are made official one way or the other, we will still argue because we're fucking humans and we argue. It's what we do. And it's hard to talk about a lot of the other stuff right now because I'm really emotional over this. Over Brando's death and his family's mourning. It's crazy how easily attached you can become to fictional characters. And you know they're fictional, you know they're not real, you know they're just drawings. But at the same time, it's like you connect with them. Not because of them, but because of what they represent. Because of their character and the way they're written, the way they're voice acted and designed. It gets you attached. And that's the point. That's the intention. When people make these shows, or the manga they're based off of course, when they design these characters, that is their goal. It has to be. They have to make these characters you can either relate to, connect with, understand, or even in some cases hate. But they have to elicit strong emotion out of you, because that's how you get hooked into the series. On TikTok, I make these videos, these Smash or Pass videos, and every time I make one, I get some dumbass coming into the comments saying, you know they're not real, right? They're never gonna love you. And it's like, do you think this is a serious video? Do you think I'm trying to be, like, serious here? No. This is for fun. If you're conflating that, that's on you. If you see this as, if you see any of this as me thinking it's real, that's on you, not me, because I don't think it's real. It's for fun. It's basically an acknowledgement of just attractiveness of the character's design and personality. But I get those people saying that, and it's like, they just don't even understand the point anyways, because it's like, yeah, of course they're not real. But they are literally drawn and written to elicit these kinds of emotions and responses anyway. Because again, that's the point. When a character is drawn to be attractive, it's because the creator is trying to make you as the viewer attracted to them. Or if they're, a terrible character, like a terrible person, the creator is trying to make you see that not everyone who's beautiful is automatically good. Stuff like that. Characters are drawn in these ways on purpose. And the characters are written and voice acted and everything in a way that's supposed to elicit some level of emotion from you, no matter what it is. So people who say that kind of stuff, like, it's not real, right, are just like missing the entire point right from the start. It's like, I know these characters aren't real, but they made me fucking cry, damn it. Because the writing, the voice acting, everything is so good that it hooked me in to the story, to the fiction. It immersed me. And there's nothing wrong with getting immersed in a show, whether it be animated or not. It feels a lot of times like a lot of these people who bitch and complain and try to make these arguments about you being immature or whatnot because you are attracted to a fictional character or shit. It feels like they're just trying to be contrarian for the sake of being contrarian. They're not actually arguing in good faith, but rather just arguing just because they can. And it's the internet. I know that happens. I understand. But still. It does happen. And it's annoying to deal with. Most of the time I just end up deleting those comments, or if it's bad enough, blocking the person. Because sometimes it can get pretty bad. But yeah, it's a wild concept to me that there are people out there who look down on this kind of stuff just because it's fiction, just because it's animated. And yet they'll go goo-goo over celebrities and stuff, even though that's fucking creepy. It's like, it's people, these people think it's weird to show interest in a fictional character, but don't think it's weird to just, like, be ridiculously and creepily obsessed with real people who, are actually affected by this shit. I'm sorry, that's a lot worse. That's why I would never do Smash or Pass stuff with real people, because it's freaking gross. Anyway, a lot of this rant, a lot of this rambling has just been because I've been avoiding wanting to talk about this, because again, the emotional shit. But we should actually talk about a lot of this. So, we got our payoff for the end of last episode, and we got quite a lot of Adam in here. I actually didn't expect him to be so prevalent. I actually thought he was going to be more, not a side character, but, like, at least for now, I thought he was going to be, like, just a little bit here and there. And then by the, like, second half of the season, they ramp up his role. But no, instead they just give him the massive role right from the start, because Inspector Gesicht believes that Pluto is going after these 7 specific robots, the most advanced, most powerful ones ever made, as well as these people who are supporting robot rights and siding with the robots. It almost seems like it's like out for like not really revenge, but it doesn't like the fact that robots are being seen as equal. That's kind of what it comes across as. Um, because all the humans that are being killed, that's their big thing. They all believe in equal rights for robots and everything. And the robots that are being killed are these like specific robots, these specific super powerful robots. So that's why Inspector Gadget goes to Adam, why he goes to Brando, why he goes to Hercules, because they are amongst these seven. So let me see if I can try to get this. We have Mont Blanc, who is already dead. We have North Number 2, who is already dead. We have Adam. We have Hercules. We have Brando. That's 5. So there's 2 more that we haven't yet touched on, I guess. Unless I'm forgetting someone, I think that's it. Because we had the 3 new ones who were introduced in this episode, and the 2 who were already killed in the first episode. So there still should be 2 more. Unless we're counting, I don't remember the robot's name, the Hannibal Lecter robot. The one who's in prison for killing humans in the past and everything. Unless we're counting them as one. Which I don't think we are. But we see kind of how vastly different these robots are to like someone like Gesicht. We see, for example, Adam is probably the most advanced. Adam is so advanced that he, instead of just pretending, is actually enjoying food and finding interest in wildlife. Again, not pretending to do that just to blend in with humans, but actually feeling that. Feeling real emotion. And while Gesicht says that, like, he's just pretending in a lot of cases, we can tell he feels real emotion in a lot of cases, too. We can see all the moments where he very much is feeling real emotion. So let's talk about the new characters we're introduced to. Obviously, starting with Adam. Adam is baby. It is very easy to endear me to a child character because, as I've stated in the past, I have a dream of becoming a mother, and just in general, it is very easy for me to grow attached to kids because I care about them and want to see them protected and safe and want to see them grow up and follow their dreams and, become the next generation. Kids are precious and we need to protect them. It's why I grew so attached to Toko and Tama in One Piece, for example. And so, yeah, obviously, Adam would be included in that. Even if he's a robot, he's still a kid. And he's designed to be as such. And we see that childlike wonder. We see how friendly and fun he is. How he's a little bit of a prankster at times. How he just likes to enjoy the world and enjoy sweet treats and new toys and snails just because it's fun. He fakes a lot of it to try and understand humanity, but ends up finding that it becomes real to him. And he's just so goddamn precious. He's so precious. Like, it is absolutely beautiful the way he sees the world and the way he interacts with it. And you see moments of intense seriousness too. You see those moments where he's like obviously freaking out just as much as Gesicht and Hercules at like Brando's death and everything, where he's like seriously analyzing shit. But then it's like go back to that scene where they're analyzing the ruins of the house and everything in the 3D simulation, and you see he starts like getting surprised by things, and he starts like freaking out a little bit. You see those emotions come through in a way that we really haven't seen with anyone else. Like the closest have been like Gesicht and Hercules, and especially mainly at the end, when again in reaction to Brando's death. So you see it in because of the various factors of Adam being probably the most advanced. You see a lot more of his emotion, and it allows it to feel more real because of that. He's just an absolutely precious being. Then we get Brando, who is just the most wholesome dad ever. Like, he's this professional fighter, but outside of that, he's just a super wholesome dad who adores his adopted children and his wife. And it's made pretty clear he was going to die. Like, there were so many clues, like so much red flags. It was obvious. But even despite seeing it coming, it still fucked me up a bit. He was just super wholesome and nice, super kind, a veteran of the war who, like North Number 2 in the last episode, just wanted to move on from that. Wanted to live a different life, a life he could enjoy and be happy with. And so, when he knew it was time, when he knew that Pluto would be coming, he left his family so that they would be safe. He made up an excuse. He left and found a place where he could fight Pluto on his own terms to try and get revenge for Mont Blanc, who was a good friend of his from the war. And he tried his best, but it wasn't enough. He claims that he beat Pluto, but that clearly is not the case, especially with the fact that Pluto took the arms of his suit and positioned them on a nearby island to look like horns, which, again, his calling card, Pluto's calling card. We got a brief glimpse at Pluto, but didn't really get a hugely good look. But it feels like Pluto's got to be a robot, right? It's just like everything seems to be building to that. And with what's going on, I don't know how it could be human. But I mean, they mentioned it could be like both a robot and a human working together. That's possible. I guess we'll have to see as we continue on. Hercules is an interesting character. He kind of comes across almost like a tsundere. He's like, I don't do as humans do, but then shows like all of the heavy emotion and is like trying to hide it, like he's embarrassed by it, but it is just like super emotional and cares so much about his friend and everything. It's like he's probably the least interesting, the least developed of the three new characters we get in this one. I like Brando and Adam a lot more, but I still liked him. I thought it's like this is a good person. He's super wholesome. He just tries not to be because he's a robot, and that's how a lot of people still see him. And if it's hard for him to live up to anything else, it sucks, but that's just kind of how it is for him. But we also see at the end, it's like he's putting forth so much money and time and effort into trying to scavenge every little bit of his friend's body because he wants to respect and care for him. And I mean, it allowed him to eventually find the memory chip as well and everything. It's like shit is progressing. This is gonna be continuously great. Like, it would be extremely hard for them to flub this up now. I feel like this series is going to just be an absolute just banger of a show. And I'm super excited to continue it. It's heavy, it's dark, it's emotional, but it's so goddamn good. And it's like with only 8 episodes, it's going to be interesting to see what they do going forward. I don't think there's been like any news of like a second season or anything. I don't know how long the manga is compared to the material we get in this season. So for all I know, this could just be all of it. I don't know. There could be enough more for a second season. I don't know. But if it does leave off without resolution and there is a second season coming, I mean, yeah, that's going to be exciting too. But if it is only 8 episodes, that's also fine, and I'm still going to enjoy it for what it is, because this is very clearly, like, just an amazing series. So, let me know in the comments below, what did you think of episode 2 of Pluto? And thank you so much for tuning in. As always, don't leave any spoilers in the comments. I wish to continue on spoiler free, and anyone else watching this might wish to as well. So, for the time being, thank you so much once again for tuning in. I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.